Welcome back to the Flying with the Flock podcast, best place to get all of your Eagles and other NFL related news. I'm your host, Matt, and welcome to the Super Bowl 60 edition of the Flying with the Flock podcast. This is a special episode in which I will go over some of my predictions for Super Bowl 60 between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots once again. Obviously, I know you guys want to hear who I have, who's going to win Super Bowl MVP, stuff like that. But before we jump into anything related to the game, I just want to thank you guys for the views on last episode. We got up to 19 views in 3 days, it's been a long time since I've seen that. And so that gives me hope for future episodes, especially once we get into the off season, in which it will probably be a busy one for the Eagles. So I just want to thank you guys for that. Plus, I already mentioned last episode that we passed 10. We're already on to 11 subscribers. So thank you all for listening this past season. And without me getting sappy or anything like that, let's move on straight to the game. Alright, so this game, we're going to break it down like this. How can Seattle win? How can the Patriots win? Who do I think is going to win? Who's going to win Super Bowl MVP? And what's the play of the game going to be? What's going to be the play that makes this different from any other Super Bowl or any other regular NFL game? I do want to say before we jump into this that unfortunately the vibes around this game seems to be kind of down. A lot of NFL fans seem to not be too high on this Super Bowl being a thing, and that's understandable. Both teams, nobody really predicted that they would be in the Super Bowl this time of year. Neither of them really have the star power that you could argue Drake May would be the star, but at the end of the day, he's still a rookie. He still needs to build up some prestige. And Sam Darnold at quarterback isn't really going to draw any headlines either. And so it really brings it down to just the vibe that I'm getting from the Super Bowl game before we get into anything is more like Super Bowl 53 or Super Bowl 56, where they're good defensive games and with some minimal offense. Obviously, Super Bowl 53, very defensive. It was between the Patriots and the Rams. Ultimately, the Patriots won 13-3, and I still feel like it's closer to that kind of vibe, where both teams are going to be heavy defense, and ultimately, one team is going to be able to turn the ball over enough and put themselves in an advantageous position to take control of the game. Alright, so how can the Seahawks win this game? Well, to me, the Seahawks have the easier road to winning this game. Let's start off with the offense. Sam Darnold has to find Jackson Smith and Jigba as early as often. JSN is probably the best weapon in this entire game. And so they're going to be able to open up the play action game with this defense having to worry about Kenneth Walker in the backfield for Seattle, which will then hopefully allow JSN to get open. Now, JSN is going up against a really good corner in Christian Gonzalez for New England. And so that's going to be the ultimate matchup, is who's going to win between Jackson Smith and Jigba and Christian Gonzalez. Number 11 or number 0. To me, I feel like JSN is going to find a way to win late. He might struggle early, at least in the first quarter, maybe first quarter and a half of the second quarter, but he will ultimately start to pick up steam, and he will ultimately start to carve up this weak Patriots secondary, in my opinion. And so, with that being said, Sam Darnold has to find his receiver, his main guy, early and often, and the coaches have to take all the pressure off of Darnold's arm, all right? You have to run the ball with Kenneth Walker. You have to be able to dominate. When the Seahawks have been at their best, they've been able to run the ball quite efficiently with Kenneth Walker, with Zach Charbonnet. And so those two guys are going to have to step up and create some explosive plays for the Patriots to worry about. Sam Darnold also cannot turn over the ball. That's going to be very important. It matters in every single Super Bowl. Super Bowl 59, Patrick Mahomes throws 2 interceptions. Obviously, one's a pick six, but the other one is in his own, basically in his own end zone. And so it brings up the idea that if Sam Darnold can play a complete, clean game and just get the ball to his playmakers, he's going to be able to come out on top. He might even look like a Super Bowl MVP if he plays that way. If he tries to go out of his own wheelhouse, then that's ultimately going to stifle any form of offense that the Seahawks are going to be able to have. For the Seahawks defense, to me, the Seahawks defense, best defense in the playoffs. And so I think their defense is going to have to step up here. It's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be a defensive game. This Seahawks defense are going to have to generate those turnovers that we just talked about. Maybe get a fumble from a running back or a wide receiver. And they need to lock down guys like Stefon Diggs and Hunter Henry. If you take out those two main targets, that only leaves like lawn chairs and garden gnomes at wide receiver for Drake May to throw to. And yes, they're going to have to worry about Ramondre Stevenson and, oh, damn it, I forget Henderson's name. Crap. Trevion Henderson, that's it. They're going to have to worry about those two, make sure that they can contain them, but they're not going to have to worry about containing a quarterback, which takes a major part of how modern defenses are starting to get stretched thin out of the equation. And so it will allow the Seahawks to sit back, kind of play their own game. The way that they're going to fail, to me, is if they allow people like Stefon Diggs and Trevion Henderson to get going. If they allow these two guys to kind of carve up this defense, which I doubt that they'll do, but especially Trevion Henderson, who if he gets over 100 rushing yards, more than likely the Patriots win. And so it's going to be a big thing, containing the run, forcing this young quarterback to throw the ball into tight windows and traffic, and then get him on his toes. Pressure the quarterback, obviously, but make this young quarterback feel uncomfortable. So the best way for the Seattle offense to win is to start generating some rushing yards to open up the play-action game for JSN and Sam Darnold, while Sam Darnold avoids throwing turnovers. How they can win it on defense is they take away this young quarterback's best options at receiving and rushing and force him to throw the ball into tight windows and traffic. And maybe they come down with 1 or 2 interceptions or a fumble, and that can set up the Seahawks offense in an advantageous position. Next up, how can the Patriots win this? Well, let's start with their offense. Patriots' offense is one of the bigger question marks in this game for me. And it's not because of the quarterback. Drake May, he lost the MVP by 1 vote. And so we know that this guy's good, but he's still young. He hasn't been in this kind of big game in his entire career, even in college. So it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts. He seems cool under pressure, so that might be a good thing for these Patriots. But the problem comes in is some of these, they don't have many weapons outside of Stefon Diggs and Trevion Henderson, Ramondre Stevenson, Hunter Henry. So Drake May is going to have a simple game plan coming into it, start to find a rhythm, and then eventually start to break open with some deeper passes downfield. He should avoid throwing it in any of these safeties' direction. Both these safeties are ball hawks. Both these safeties will make a play if you can give it to them. But he's going up against some of the better corners in the playoffs, in the NFL playoffs. And so this is kind of down to what Josh McDaniels is going to be able to do to scheme wide receivers open for Drake May. He's been here. This offensive coordinator has been here to the Super Bowl many a times in the original Patriots dynasties. And so it does bring up the fact that they do have some veteran presence on the coaching staff. So, with all that being said, I do feel like Josh McDaniels will be able to scheme up some open, getting some guys open, allow Drake May to find some form of a rhythm, and then eventually find a way to get this run game open as well. That's going to be the major focal point of this game, is going to be the Patriots' run offense against this Seahawks run defense, and which one is going to bend first. If they can shut down the run offense of the Patriots, that's going to be bad news bears for the Patriots. If the Patriots can get it going and make Seattle have to worry about not only their passing attack but also their rushing attack, then we might see a ball game here, folks. We might see a little bit of a more of explosive passing game than I'm thinking that we're going to see right now. And so, with that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if Drake May and Josh McDaniels sat down and figured out ways to get guys open against this stingy Seattle defense. How can this Patriots defense win the game for them? Well, it's simple. Sam Darnold has thrown some of the most interceptions this past season in the NFL, and it's one of the NFL's best-kept secrets. You don't hear people talking about it, but he has. And so, really generating turnovers and giving their young quarterback a better field position, more opportunities, creates a sense of worry for the Seattle offense and a sense of relaxation for this Patriots offense. And so if this defense can generate turnovers and find a way to eliminate Jackson Smith and Jigba from the equation, then I feel like Sam Darnold's going to have himself a long day. They're going to force Sam Darnold to play outside of his own ability, and ultimately, the only way I think that they get carved up is if their run defense is not up to snuff. If they're able to shut down Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker, then they're going to be able to find a way to bracket Jackson Smith and Jigba off and force Sam Darnold to throw to guys like Rashid Shaheed, A.J. Barner, and other guys on this receiving core for Seattle. So, to recap, for the Patriots, their offense, if they find a way to get together, scheme open some guys, and then get this rushing offense going, they're going to be able to put the Seattle defense on their heels. And if they can do it as early and often as they can and get Drake May a nice cushion, then I think their offense is going to be fairly successful. And for their defense, if their defense is able to get turnovers, puts their offense in an advantageous position, and are able to shut down this Seattle rushing game, then they're going to force Sam Darnold to play outside of his own abilities. And so that's, to me, is how both teams can both win and lose this game today. And so who do I have winning and by how much? Well, personally, I see the Seattle Seahawks winning this game. The Seahawks, best defense to me from the eye test. The Patriots, especially their offense, has not looked that great over the past couple of playoff games. And so it does concern me that they're coming up against this really tough defense, and this is a really young quarterback that has not too much experience in high stress level games. Yes, he's had success in this NFL playoffs, and he has deserved that. And he's played some of the worst teams in the NFL. And so to me, the Patriots are going to have to put Drake May in a comfortable position for them to have any shot of winning this game. So I'm going to take the Seahawks. Originally, I thought the Seahawks were going to win 34-24. But looking at it, I have the Seahawks winning this 24-17 over the New England Patriots. And my Super Bowl MVP is going to be Jaxon Smith-Njigba. I think Jaxon Smith-Njigba is going to have himself a game. Over 120 yards receiving, probably 2 receiving touchdowns. And we're going to have our first wide receiver Super Bowl MVP since Cooper Kupp in Super Bowl 56. And so looking at some of the money lines here, I would take the under for both total points for both the Seahawks and the Patriots. Currently, the Seahawks under for points is at 29.5. I would easily take that. And the Patriots under for points is at 19.5 at plus 100. So I would easily take both teams under right here today. And let's see. Ultimately, I think that the Seahawks are going to come out here, dominate early, and the Patriots are going to make it a game late. The play of the game to me is probably going to be a one or two things. I'm going to lean towards one. I'm going to say it's a deep bomb to Jaxon Smith-Njigba, and he makes an acrobatic style catch for a touchdown. Or it's going to be a Trevion Henderson rushing touchdown. Deep, like we're talking 70-plus yard rushing touchdown, which is something I wish I saw in last Super Bowl, but we'll talk about that at a later date. So, for you Eagles fans listening, enjoy the last few hours as the Eagles being the reigning Super Bowl champions. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know last year was a little bit longer, but that's because I went more in depth with personnel. This time I gave you guys a kind of general idea to make it simpler to understand, so I didn't make it too specific. I want to thank you guys for everything that you guys have done for me over the past week. Almost 20 views in 3 days. That's amazing. We have 11 subscribers. And so I'll talk to you guys this coming Wednesday about updates on what we're doing next for the podcast, where I'm taking it next. And we'll talk about some of the NFL Honors Awards that I got right. And we'll talk about some more Eagles news this coming Wednesday. And we'll talk about the results of the Super Bowl as well. I guess it's kind of a big deal. But until this Wednesday, I hope you guys have a good one. Stay warm out there. And remember, go Birds.